Hey everybody, AJ here. This episode we're talking about The Naked Cage, and it has themes of sexual assault and violence. So if you feel like skipping it, we completely understand. We'll see you again real soon. On with the show. Hello world, and welcome to Creating Canon with your hosts AJ Hamilton and Nicole Pappas.
Yeah, we'll go with Nicole Pappas.
Nicole?
Nicole.
It's something close to what I want to call you sometimes.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm whatever.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
I'm good, AJ. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
I am doing great.
Yeah?
Because we watched a movie that came out in 1986, written and directed by Paul Nicholas.
Hey.
Who is known for Chained Heat, which is really like a big kickoff to like the whole women in prison subgenre.
Interesting.
And it's another women in prison film by Paul Nicholas called
The Naked Cage. So, yeah, it seems like he has something going for him.
Yeah.
You know, he's found something that works.
And then, like, just goes for it.
Sure.
Yeah. This was a movie that... First of all, this should be noted that this is part of, like, the Go-Go Boys years, Golden and Globus.
Ah,
like,
yes.
This is, like, smack dab in the middle of when they were running Cannon.
Heck yeah.
And I feel like this movie was deceptively good.
It surprised me, honestly. I think it's pretty plainly shot.
Yes.
In fact, sometimes it is slightly amateurly shot.
I can't deny that.
I think there's a couple of POV shots that either remind me, sadly, of not sadly, but of a better movie, Halloween.
Oh, right.
Or something
like this movie rips off the music from Halloween.
Yes. Right. But I think deep within it, and the acting's okay.
Yeah.
So it's par. It's on par, let's say,
par.
for a movie like this. It's not subpar, but there is, I think, an interesting underlying the story.
Yeah,
is where the strength is.
It's well constructed and well put together in a way that I was digging this movie all the way through, but only usually we watch these and then record day of.
Right.
This is a weird situation where we're recording like about a week later,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And it was fascinating 'cause as we were talking about it today, as we were putting the pieces together, we were like, oh, whoa, that was actually...
Oh, and remember this?
Oh, and that was well constructed because of this.
Yes, yeah.
So...
There are a couple of interesting, not twists and turns, because you're never really like, oh, that was clever. I didn't see that coming, M. Night Shyamalan.
No, definitely not. But there were some really strong moments of solid writing that actually helped build what I thought was a really great tension.
Yeah.
And there were things that happened that had actual like consequence and payoff later. Maybe we should actually just go back for half a second and talk about like the quickest version of this plot. Would be like
please go ahead in your best movie voice.
Oh, my lord. Well, if you asked for it.
I'm on it.
When Michelle is wrongly convicted of a bank robbery she didn't commit, she's sent to a women's prison where she must become a criminal in order to survive.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Oh man. What a titillating.
Yeah.
Titillating.
It's funny that you say that because in the women in prison genre, this has like all of the fucking... It's got lesbian sex. It's got boobs. It's got weird gratuitous violence. It's
forced sex. We call it rape.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Well, I think we should just start at the beginning.
I think we jump in.
Let's just hop in.
Okay, so I thought this was an interesting movie where they did not introduce the lead character until 15 minutes in, maybe? I mean, the main protagonist that we follow, Michelle, wasn't in the first scene.
She wasn't. I think, well, this was the weird part, because
Yeah.
I actually think our main protagonist was introduced fairly... So, the movie starts with, like, this woman standing on the side of the road. And
Right.
It takes 45 minutes for, like, the camera to pan across a big open highway. And we see this, like, pair of cowboy boots. And then, like... The camera pans up these like red cowboy boots up like her thighs and her legs, and she's wearing a mini skirt.
Sure.
Got this huge fucking Walkman on, tape recorder, and she's listening to music
with the nose ring
and the glasses. And this is actually probably your favorite part of the movie, right?
What's that?
When, so she's obviously hitchhiking.
She's obviously hitchhiking, and she gets picked up by someone. She gets picked up and dropped off, and then picked up again.
Right.
To show
that she's hitchhiking.
Yeah.
And this...
I don't know.
It was amazing.
Yeah, sure.
And this woman's name is Rita.
Yeah.
Rita, who is short dark hair, right?
Yep.
So
Trouble
she
all
is
the way.
Trouble from the word go.
Go.
She hops into this... There it is. She hops into this car, like this red, like, convertible-looking thing pulls up. And there's a dude in the car who's, like, clearly drinking, like, from a flask.
Yep.
And he's like, hey, baby, you won't get in? And she's like... I'm hopping in. This dude's name is Willie.
Willie!
They hop into the car, and they're like, boom, gone.
Yep.
But this is actually, though, they do cut to the lead girl, Michelle.
To Michelle, who is on her family's farm.
Yeah.
Hanging out with her
horse. But the catch is, I did not know that this was the lead girl.
No.
And I was waiting for that red convertible to, like, drive up.
Yeah.
In that scene.
To connect those stories.
But it doesn't. It just cuts to the next scene.
Sure.
Where
and it felt like something from the Waltons or something like that. I mean, such a different tone.
Yeah.
Completely. Which I guess they're trying to introduce two different worlds at that moment.
Michelle is like the ingenue who is like the long flowing blonde hair, and she's like the small town high school cheerleader. I mean, like that might be the best way to describe
I would assume she was. Yeah.
She probably, yeah.
When she wasn't hanging out with her horses.
When she wasn't hanging out with her horses.
Who she loves.
And don't we all love horses?
Yeah. So they haven't done anything bad to me.
Not yet, at least.
Nope.
So Rita,
and she loves her family, too.
And she loves her family. Yes. And her dad and mom love her. Like, it's just a very loving moment.
Perfect
and, like,
family.
we weirdly cut from that right back to Rita and Willie, who I think at this point, have they already committed the robbery, or are they in the hotel
they are.
room?
This is them. They go into a diner. He goes to
the bathroom.
Oh, and the car. His convertible is stolen.
Yeah, we find that out.
He goes to the bathroom. Cop comes in. He's like, hey, I recognize that car from our Bolo or whatever. Is that yours, little missy? And and then the guy at the counter nods
like,
towards the bathroom. Is like,
it's that guy.
It's that guy. And
then she pulls out a gun and goes, pop, pop.
Yep.
Kills the cop.
Oh, no, she hits the cop on the head.
Oh, that's right.
But kills
him, pulls the gun on it, kills him, and then kills the guy behind the counter.
Right.
I mean, that scene goes from 0 to 100 in like a half a second, which...
real quick character building.
Yeah.
There, that was perfect.
Well, and actually, I did love that moment in that it felt like that is a note for us to take of like, we don't need to have the 45-minute Tarantino-style diner conversation before the robbery takes place.
You can start it up.
You can just go for it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's nothing wrong with the Tarantino version either, but like...
Right. Up the
stakes as fast as possible.
And it's weirdly not even the main character's stakes. This is all before the fact.
Leading up to... So then we cut from that scene in the diner where they're... they're in a hotel room. Willie and Rita are in a hotel room. And Rita takes like cocaine and like just douses her breast with it, trying to get Willie to do some coke, which was a total waste of cocaine. Like,
very much so.
I just watched that go everywhere
down her underarm,
like it was in her under armpit. Like once cocaine hits the armpit,
do you want to bet
it's not snortable?
No,
it's just
that's going to be sucked into her body.
Yeah.
Do you think being 1986, it was real cocaine?
Oh, without a fucking doubt.
Probably.
Without a doubt, that was real cocaine.
That was under miscellaneous in the expenses.
On the report. So eventually, we find out that Willie is Michelle, who is the blonde cheerleader ex-husband.
Or husband. He might have just, like, run away.
It's not clear.
Because she confronts him at one point, or he confronts her. I guess he wants her to help him with her job, which is working at a bank.
Yes.
And they're planning a heist.
Yes.
Yeah.
They being Rita and Willie.
Yes. And
are planning a heist.
And she's like, please, Willie, come back. We're husband and wife, but I can tell you've been on the drugs.
Your face is covered with boob cane.
Boob cane.
But
But yeah, and that's the setup of that. We figure out that, well, screw you, girl, we're gonna steal money from a bank. So they go to the bank the next day, and
they go to Michelle's bank the next day.
Michelle's bank, yeah.
They go in, they make the robbery,
and those masks
are...
Well, they're what are they?
The stockings. They're
stockings, pantyhose, and that does not help one bit.
What's amazing is Rita, at least her face is sort of mushed.
Exactly.
Willie looks like Willie.
Yeah.
He got a pair of like extra large pantyhose to put on his head because
sheer,
very extra
sheer.
Large, because he does not look like there is a change, to the point where as he is holding up the bank, the security guard in the bank pulls a gun, and Michelle goes, Willie, watch out! To then which Rita kills the security guard.
Right.
They grab the money, and all three run out of the bank. Michelle...
And isn't she... Well, they grab her, right?
Yes. Michelle is forced out of the bank by Rita.
Because she wants to get her car, which she doesn't have the keys to, and they don't care.
Yes.
Apparently.
They do not give a shit.
Well, because they can hotwire cars.
Rita can hotwire the car.
Regardless, they're going to have to break the... I don't know why they had to even take her on.
Yeah, that's
whatever.
a great point.
Just go to the closest car.
Maybe it's because they thought...
Hostage?
Well, not only hostage, but she can also identify Willie. But then again, she screamed Willie, so now everyone can identify Willie.
Yep.
So they get into the car.
And there's a big, shootout.
Well, it's a chase scene in the parking lot.
Just around.
Circles in the parking lot.
It's like there's no exit.
No, because the cop cars are... Like, the one exit the cop cars are at.
Hilarious.
So they chase... Willie gets shot and dies.
Yep, in the neck. And Michelle is trying to stop him from bleeding to death. To me, though, that's basically the intro of the whole movie.
Yeah.
And to me, when she ends up in prison, I was like, she didn't aid and abet these people.
No, that was...
She may have, instinctually... I think any judge, hearing that she was taken, clearly forcibly taken by any witness, she was taken... She was trying to save her husband. You wouldn't say that she had premeditation or anything to that effect.
It was tenuous at best. And they actually sort of cover it later in the movie where it's revealed that Rita falsely lied on the stand and said that Michelle was part of it. But, I mean, it's evidence that is not corroborated, so, they wouldn't take that as,
I think
thing.
You ask any other witnesses there, they'd be like, no, she was kind of upset about it.
It was pretty clear that she was not happy.
Yeah. But regardless how we get there, that is true, though. That's something that comes up more and more, is that the audience member watching this movie is not immediately paid off, and in fact thinks they're smarter than the movie until the movie tells you, "Nuh-uh, we thought of that."
Yeah, we actually put that together.
Which is kind of cool.
So what then ends up happening is, so now we're cutting to prison, and in prison there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 storylines happening at the same time.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah.
That...
It's like a full month of 90210 or one of those more current shows. I don't know things. I remember 90210.
You were one step away from standing on a
Gossip
lawn with
Girls.
a shotgun being... That's even canceled at this point.
Damn it.
What is the show the two kids watch?
What's on TV
the one
now?
The thing and the shooter.
I watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine and that's it.
Oh, man.
I don't know what's happening.
Holy shit.
Renewed for a 5th season.
Yay!
6th. I don't know.
6th.
Cool. What are we doing?
So
we're in prison.
We're in prison now,
but there's a lot of stuff going on. Is what my point.
Yes.
It's like a lot of drama and a lot of storylines going on.
Yeah, and I think in order to talk about these in any way that's going to actually be useful, it'll be easier to separate them a little bit. So
even though they intersect,
but we're going to kind of talk about them each individually.
Cool.
And the reason I want to start with this one, we'll call Sheila is the leader of the white gang / drug dealer.
She's the drug dealer, and she's not the muscle, because she has her own muscle.
But she is a tough, strong woman.
Yeah. She's also kind of like the protection racket lady.
Yes, she is protection. If you don't get protection from her, she'll OD you.
Yes, yeah,
and
exactly.
Kill you.
Yeah.
And Sheila is just oh shit, how do we even start this?
She's a large woman. She's a very strong woman.
That's not it. Is
that not what you were going for?
Nope, that's absolutely true, though. She is a large, strong woman.
She was cast for a reason. I think Faith Minton was a bodybuilder.
She was.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until afterwards, and then that completely makes sense.
Yeah.
That was like, oh, okay, so she is
Totally.
She is bodybuilding, and she is muscular and large.
Yes.
And basically, she demands protection from Michelle. And there's this girl named Amy who becomes a friend of Michelle, who is an ex-drug user.
Right. Yeah, she kicked it, except for weed. She does sometimes.
She does some weed in prison, but that's it. Nothing else. Nothing of the harder stuff.
Sure.
And there's this moment, this beautiful moment where Sheila comes in and she's about to kick Michelle's ass to like show dominance.
Yeah.
Amy and Michelle have just met. They've barely talked.
Yeah.
Amy's like,
they're
what are you in
bunkmates.
for? Yeah, they're bunkmates. And Amy's like, what are you in for? And Michelle's like, bank robbery. And Amy, when Sheila starts about to kick Michelle's ass, Amy goes, no. She is here because she robbed a Security Central Bank.
Yes.
To which both AJ and I were like, what? They didn't fucking say that.
She doesn't know that.
How do they know that? And then, like, Sheila's like, oh, okay, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
great. So you're cool with me, Michelle. We're fine. And Sheila walks away, and Amy goes, she hates Security Central Bank, so I lied for you.
Yeah.
And, like, AJ and I were both like, whoa!
Oh, instead of being bad writing where you're like, wait, you just gave weird exposition that was never warranted.
Yes.
There was no reason for you to include that
Bit.
Oh, there absolutely was.
Yeah.
I've seen better movies that have had worse dialogue.
Clunkier exposition
Exactly.
and dialogue.
Yes, yeah.
And
But no, that was great.
That was a great moment. Like, that was a cool moment that showed how smart Amy was on her feet.
Yes.
How Michelle was willing to lead, how Sheila can be manipulated.
Yeah.
All three of those things happened, like, simultaneously in this one great moment. That night, there is a guard named Smiley who is so
like the
creepy
T-1000.
looking. Yeah.
He never takes off his sunglasses.
Right.
It's really creepy.
And his whole bit is that he likes to rape and kill prisoners.
Sure.
But
I don't know if he's necessarily, like, the killing isn't necessarily inevitable.
Yeah.
But we do see that in the first incident.
Time.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so he rapes...
That's his MO as far as we know.
Yeah, so he rapes this young... And her name's Ruby. She's black.
Yes.
And that becomes important to the plot later.
There is a clear racial divide within the prison.
Yeah. There's the black gang and the white gang. And so he kills Ruby and makes it look like a suicide.
Yeah, he writes a note from her. And,
To which the black women in prison were like, no way Ruby would do this. That's not true. We don't believe it.
Exactly.
So that's like its own thing. And then what happens is we meet the Warden.
Which Smiley, that same night, was spying on.
Who, yes, was spying on that night.
But we'll get to what he was spying on.
The Warden has a lesbian relationship with several of the prisoners.
Yep.
That Warden's office looked like the 80s fucking vomited.
Oh my god,
all
right?
All over everything.
Some insane Eyes Wide Shut lounge.
Yes!
With the masks
and
the
masks and the whips and the leather. Also, at that point, too, we didn't know she was the Warden, so it was like...
Right.
I don't know
Who
if you
has these...
In prison!
Yeah.
Who has a leather room in prison? I don't know!
Also, ridiculously huge.
Yes. With like neon signs and like white leather couches.
Yeah, she converted a couple of cells. We're overcrowded. Put those people in there. I need my me time.
Yeah.
That was bizarre.
Hey.
LBJ.
You gotta spend some time in the hole.
Oh, no. Right above the hole.
Right. Oh, boy. Anyways.
Yeah. This is a fun episode.
This is a good episode.
This is a great episode.
This is where we cross into that place where people have thought they were getting one thing, and now they're getting something else.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can take this insane ride with us. But we meet the Warden finally in clothing.
Clothing
is correct for a Warden.
And she is meeting, and she threatens Michelle by saying, like,
yeah,
I need someone on my side. I need somebody who's going to help me out.
Yeah, you are going to tell me what's going on with Sheila and her gang. You're going to be my lady on the inside.
And Michelle's like, no way. I just got here. I do not want to fuck with that.
And I already know what Sheila's capable of.
And I already know what Sheila's
capable of.
Not
necessarily, but she's intimidated by her.
Yeah, well,
she don't like.
Amy has told Michelle that Sheila will go ahead and OD you and kill you that way.
Yeah, exactly. And so she's a quick learner. Surprisingly, Michelle is
She's pretty savvy.
Somehow or another, she's willing to learn.
Yes.
That's pretty much it.
And at that point, the warden is like, okay, sure, no problem. Come let me show you something.
Yeah.
Cut to, Michelle is looking up at Ruby, who is the black woman who has been murdered by Smiley, and is like, she's like, you see that? Because, like, if
that's
you don't,
what can happen
that's
to
what
you.
happens if you don't get my protection. You know? So just putting that out there in the world.
There's interesting intersection of politics.
Yes.
Of prison politics in here. I don't know how accurate it is, but the portrayal of it is proper in the way that it creates some helplessness, a little bit of feeling trapped by what allegiances you make in prison. It's fascinating.
Yeah. And it's brutal. Like, the wrong allegiance leads to a certain kind of brutality that is shocking.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you actually hit something right on the head that I think is important of, like, if you do think of, I mean, obviously I don't know either, but I'm assuming just if, like, I've had friends who've been in and things like that of, like, you kind of have to warm up to, like, a group.
Yeah.
In order to get like, the idea of, like, that you would be a lone wolf in prison is almost insane. Like, you have to have somebody to help protect you.
You can't be, I mean, I think Terry Crews would be fine in prison.
Maybe.
He's a big dude. But maybe, I mean, he's older now. He might not do well.
The shiv, though, like, nothing can protect you from the shiv.
I mean, have you seen his muscles?
That's true.
I think they could.
He can just flex and the shiv would snap in half.
Yeah, exactly. He'd be fine. I don't know why I'm going back to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But
I don't know. It's on your brain.
Police. Tenuous at best. So we also have, because Amy is Michelle's friend, is Amy the one with the bird?
Amy has a bird that she loves that, ironically, she keeps in a cage.
In a cage hidden in, like, the AC ducts on the roof.
Uh-huh. And I don't know how they get to the roof.
I don't know either. Why would you be allowed there?
That's a great question.
Doesn't seem right.
But yeah, so, like, she is... And it's this great metaphor, actually, I think, for, like, women in cages, birds in a cage.
Of course, yeah. There's a couple of metaphors in here. I don't know if they're as forced as, like, The Departed or anything with that rat at the end. But we'll
get to some rats at the end of
Yes,
this
exactly. But they are a bit heavy-handed, I would say.
They just
sometimes.
They 100% are.
Yeah.
And she also has a pimp named Randy, and...
who is trying to pimp her out to Smiley
in prison.
Yeah.
So Randy can get something from Smiley, and when Amy refuses, Randy goes to Smiley.
Well, because Amy doesn't even refuse. Michelle comes in there and says,
"That's right.
You're not gonna be. She's
not your pimp. She's not your
prostitute anymore."
Yeah, exactly.
And in the next scene, we see Smiley and Randy riding along in a Jeep together.
Yeah.
Or are they?
Well, more or less.
Whatever.
They kind of end up at the same place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're in different cars, but I'm pretty sure I recognize that little
from LA
little
somewhere.
From LA. Yeah.
I think it's on Highland, maybe.
I think so. Yeah, Highland. Yeah, like Sunset or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
But Randy, because he was spurned by Michelle, is like, oh yeah, you're not getting Amy because of that girl Michelle. She was talking shit about you, Smiley.
She said your dick doesn't work, and that you're not a man, and that, like, you are impotent. And,
right.
And Smiley's like, well, she said what?
What a jerk.
I'm gonna prove her wrong.
Yes.
Like, that's his whole thing.
Which she never talked about, Smiley, which was, again, lying to somebody in another scene. Because I think I leaned over, I was like, she never said that to him. I see what. So we really are not spoon-fed these betrayals, or I mean, I think it's kind of because the delivery isn't always great.
I think that's part of the problem, is that why some of this got a little confusing is the acting's not 100% on par,
right?
But it does make sense.
It does. It absolutely does.
The pieces come together.
Yeah, because he sets somebody else on his enemy.
Yeah.
By hook or by crook. You know, he's like, she's a bitch. I'm gonna settle Smiley on her.
Yeah, because if Smiley takes care of her, then I can use Amy to my disposal. I think that's his thought process.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Now, the next scene, right around this time, it's just a POV shot of, like, someone coming in, and they have, like, an ice pick in their hands.
I don't even think we see that. Do we?
Oh, we do. We do. We see the fact that someone's carrying something scary.
Okay, yeah.
And, like, people are getting pushed out of the way.
Yep.
And the person...
Oh, and also, like, blondes are being grabbed by the hair and turned around.
Ripped around. Like, looked in the face like, who are you? Oh, that's not you.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, we're like, oh, shit, is Smiley just gonna, like, exact his revenge? Like, right in the middle of anywhere?
This?
And finally, Michelle is found, and then that ice pick goes straight through her hand.
There is no hesitation.
Woof. And that was
There's
brutal.
no setup for it, except for the POV shot of it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god!
Yeah, both of us were like, holy shit. Camera turns around, and it's...
Some we haven't seen in like 30 minutes of the movie.
It's Rita.
Yeah.
Rita has been... somehow transferred to the same prison?
Or it almost seemed like she had finally been processed?
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense to me at all.
Well, this would have never happened in real life, first of all.
Absolutely.
The fact that she is in the same prison as, like, her cohort.
She would have at least been in a different cell block.
There would have been, yeah.
You know.
But the other thing that we find out is that Rita has been in this prison before, and that Rita and Sheila have some major beef with each other.
Yeah, they do.
They do not like each other whatsoever.
Nope. So, obviously, who's the perfect person to be the Warden's inside girl?
Michelle!
Nope. But it's Rita.
I failed.
We're on to Rita.
Failed.
We're on to Rita.
Oh, boy. Oh, shit.
She already turned down.
That's right.
The
Warden.
Warden.
I forgot about that. There's like 9 times the Warden asked.
But Rita...
She was like, Caesar, will you be my informant? I shall not. Will you be my informant? I shall not. Oh. And then, like, Mark Anthony never had the chance to make the speech.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, it turns out Rita is... Does she and Michelle get in a fight then? Is that what sets Michelle off to to solitary, or what happens? What happens
is, oh shit!
There's a big fight there.
There's a fight that happens. Oh no, I think I remember what happens. There's there was one of the girls from like the black side of the prison camp was trying to fight Amy, like attacked Amy over something with Ruby
because she gave her the weed.
The weed. That's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Amy gave
there's so many storylines.
And then Michelle stood up for...
She grabbed her off of her, or something like that.
Stood up for Amy, and then she and the black girl got into a fight. It was a pretty violent fight.
Yeah, blood was drawn.
Yeah, and then we should mention at this point there is a woman named Brenda who is the leader of the
black gang, or the black
women in prison, who wants peace amongst the sides.
Right.
Wants there to be peace, does not want anyone to fight because it only leads to more bloodshed and violence and death.
Yes.
And actually that fight, this was amazing to me. That fight was stopped by the Warden walking in, looking, and then just firing a gun into the air.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like that's a lot of paperwork to fill out.
Oh, yeah.
And that was inside the cafeteria.
But honestly, doesn't it feel like there's no oversight on the Warden whatsoever?
Zero. None whatsoever.
She doesn't have to answer to anybody.
And it's amazing. It's amazing that happens. And I don't remember when this was, but there was a great line where someone says, Kitten wants some catnip about the drugs. I was like, that is so good.
I also love the line, love's harder to kick than drugs.
Love is harder to kick than drugs, which is true.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Oh, I would agree.
That was Amy talking about Randy the pimp.
Yeah.
And how he keeps her doped up so she will have sex with other people.
Oh.
At about all of this point, Michelle ends up in... Solitary.
Yeah.
There's a new guard that comes whose name is Rhonda. Rhonda seems to really, really want to make sure that, like...
Everything's above board.
Everything's above board. Mm-hmm. Michelle is in solitary.
Right.
Smiley decides this is the time he's gonna take his revenge.
Yeah.
Smiley tries to rape her.
Yep. I thought this was very well shot.
This was a great scene.
This struggle between her and Smiley was well shot, well choreographed. Like all of the different power struggle back and forth.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
And actually, too, the scene where when Smiley arrives and you're like, the way he takes off his belt, it's a little silly looking in one sense, but it's actually an interesting shot in another.
It's ominous.
It's very ominous.
Yeah, intended to be, I'm sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is, like, they get into a fight, and Michelle beats the shit out of Smiley, like, breaks his face and his nose.
Doesn't he take in his club?
Yes. And she's able to get it off of him.
At one point, yeah.
And beats him with it. Rhonda sees Smiley's glasses and his gun on the outside.
That's how she beats him. Earlier,
That's right.
When she got stabbed through the hand, and she was in the infirmary, she took a pill bottle or something heavy, and she slipped it into her bandage.
Right, that's right.
That was smart as hell.
That was really smart. So
I really loved that.
Well, because at that point, we should mention, too, like, she's been having dreams, and there's this one amazing, scary dream where, like, she's in the shower, and someone comes up and starts just slashing at her, and it turns out to be Rita.
Yeah.
And it's shot semi-realistically.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up and it's the dream, and that's after she's been stabbed. So now she's trying to get the protection. You're right.
Yes.
So she smacks Smiley in the face with this huge, heavily weighted bandage hand, knocks him the fuck out, breaks his nose.
Breaks it. Oh, he has all the bandages, like, for the rest of the movie.
Later on, yeah.
Yeah.
Rhonda comes in, who's the new guard, and is like, hey, are you okay? What's happened here? Why is he in here with you?
Yeah.
Why is your dress torn? Talk to me about what's happening in this prison.
Yeah. Because it turns out
that Rhonda
is an undercover
cop,
detective, or internal affairs, or something like that.
And she is the oversight on this Warden, and Smiley and everyone else. Mm-hmm. Oh boy! So then, what ends up happening is Amy gets hooked back on drugs,
right? Because Rita forces it on her.
Rita forces it on her.
Rita, we didn't even talk about it. Rita has taken control by beating the hell out of Sheila.
Yeah.
And she drugged Sheila with drugs that she got from
the Warden.
Right, yeah, exactly. So Sheila's out of the picture?
Yeah, I think Sheila's dead. I think that's it. Understanding.
Who did they suffocate under the laundry?
That was a different woman. That was Sheila, or was Rita? I don't remember who that was.
That wasn't the redhead, was it?
It might have been the redhead.
I don't know. But somehow
that was the Warden's girl. The Warden's lesbian partner.
That's right.
Rita killed the Warden's lesbian partner.
Right.
To strike back for, I don't remember exactly what reason.
There's so many, like, little things, but Sheila's
dead.
But Rita has taken up her status, even got her goons.
Yes, and she forces drugs on Amy, and then when Amy doesn't do the thing to set up Michelle so that Rita can kill Michelle,
she's supposed to lock her in the basement where we see the caged rats. Jesus.
And then Rita's down there and she's going to kill Michelle, but Amy opens up the door
at the very last second.
Michelle gets away, and Rita, and this was a scary scene of, like,
God damn,
Rita actually breaks a mirror and shoves the pieces of the mirror into Michelle's mouth and punches her throat,
something like that.
So she, like, swallows the glass and she just lays there and dies.
There was some unflinching thing where in a regular movie, that this isn't a regular movie, but I don't think it would be just so blatant.
I think here's the fine line, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but, like, I think in a more, like, mainstream kind of film, it would have been more stylized.
Sure. Yes.
And then also in a more gory kind of movie, the blood, there just been blood everywhere, and it would have been, like, ridiculous.
Would have been a Quentin Tarantino amount of blood.
Yeah.
Yes.
In this, it was just straight down the middle, realistic, which actually made it 10 times more disturbing.
Yeah, because you're like, oh God, that's exactly what would happen without the fanfare, without the stylization that you're talking about. It's just done. She falls and she's dead.
That's it.
And you're like, oh, I guess we're not going to get any more of a show.
Yeah.
But there's the result.
So
my God.
At this point, Michelle knows Rita's after her, and Rhonda this is when Rhonda discloses that she's an undercover cop.
Right.
Michelle's like, I don't care, steals Rhonda's gun, and more or less at this point opens up all the cells in the prison.
And at the same time, somehow the black population of the prison has found out that Smiley was the one who murdered Ruby. I guess they suspected, but they were like, nuh-uh, this isn't going to happen again, not to anybody else. I think they found out from Michelle or something like that, but at that point, they're planning at the same time that Michelle is going to go after Rita, I suppose. They're planning to kill Smiley.
Yeah.
And somehow get... I don't know what their plan was. It didn't seem like a very good plan.
Michelle gives them the key.
Eventually. She slides it to them.
That's
but they didn't have that plan.
I thought they did before.
Doesn't she, like... Somebody somehow shoots Smiley in the leg. This is all a blur, because this was poorly shot at best.
Yeah.
You didn't really know where everybody was. I mean, this is the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
And we've got Rita somewhere. She has free reign, I suppose.
Right.
Smiley is hunting down Michelle, I guess.
Smiley is going after Michelle because she broke his nose.
Right.
And
he's like, let me off the chain, Warden.
Yeah, and the Warden says, go ahead, you're off the chain. Michelle has kidnapped Rhonda, taken her gun.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly sure how it happens, but, like, she opens all the doors and, like, it converges into, like, there's a riot. There's like, a prison riot happening.
Yep.
Smiley's been shot in the leg.
And then when his key is taken away, he shoots a couple of people in that
there's
cell
like
block.
50 or 60 or 70 like black women running after him, and he's just like shooting as much as he can. But that was actually one of my favorite moments in the movies, where Smiley realizes he's not going to make it.
Yeah.
He turns around, he tries to run. He gets to like a cell, and he's trying to get through the cell. And on one side are the white women, on the other side are the black women. And like he gets there, and he's trying to climb up to freedom.
Yeah.
And every single woman in that room has a shiv, and they are all just jamming at him, killing him in the most brutal, violent, but also like
empowering.
Like I was like cheering in that moment of like, I'm wondering how many of those women he hurt.
Yes.
And they're all finally getting at least some sort of like revenge, right? In this moment,
they feel like
justice.
they've taken a little bit of the power back.
Yeah, and that moment was so cool. And then at this point, it sort of just devolves into like a simple chase where Michelle chases Rita.
Yeah, the power goes back and forth, and Rita's like, "You're no better than me. I'm blah blah blah," and Michelle's like, "I'm gonna let you live," and then Rita's like, "You're a dumb idiot," and kicks her.
And then there's of course that moment where Michelle is on the ground and Rita's like trying to stab her with a pick, and like I think this is like a thing that we just need to get rid of. Is like Michelle is like reaching back, and the gun is just out of her reach, like her fingertips. Like she could caress the gun with her fingertips.
I'm
but she
so
can't
tired
grab
of
it.
that cliche.
Yeah, it's kind of like, all right, we get it. Let's move forward.
Or switch it up somehow. Make the person choking the other person be like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna get the gun.
Right.
I figured out what you were doing. It's not like I'm focusing so much on my hands that my periphery
is gone.
Yeah.
But so then there is a great moment, and again, a great payoff. There's a weird shot of like when they're running into this one room. It's like it says high voltage on the door.
I absolutely knew it.
And then like 9 minutes later of fighting, Rita finally meets her fate when Michelle pushes Rita into this like weird, just open
fuse
electrical box.
Something like just a bunch of wires.
Yeah,
and also Rhonda assists her. By
it all.
Winging Rita at one point?
Yeah.
Or no. Oh, Rita wings her.
Rita wings Rhonda. And what ends up happening is Michelle's about to kill Rita, and Rita says, if you don't kill me, I'll tell everyone the truth that I lied at your trial. Right. Which Rhonda overhears. And that's when Michelle's like, oh, you will? Okay. She steps off.
Be friends.
And then then Rita attacks Michelle and almost kills her.
Yeah.
Rita dies. But because Rhonda overheard that, lo and
exonerated.
Behold, Michelle is out.
Yeah.
She goes to see her family.
And there's that awesome song that we couldn't
find anywhere.
Oh my god. That was frustrating as hell.
We tried to
There's only 3
Shazam it
songs.
We couldn't find this one.
On this soundtrack. I don't get it.
It does not exist. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, she just goes back. It's another one of those things, just like X-Ray, where the ending is just so immediate.
Yes.
There's no Rhonda and her heavy breathing like, oh my god, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Rita's
dead, cut to the farm.
Yeah.
Oh, we can connect the dots from there.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe that's a good thing? Do you feel like the ends of movies are sometimes bloated with that, let's wrap everything up with a satisfying sit in the back of an ambulance?
I don't know. I think I actually felt this was abrupt in a way that I did not like. But in X-Ray, it felt okay.
Yeah. Everything what was going to be wrapped up, there was one person left living.
Yeah, and I think the difference is like X-Ray is such a silly, insane slasher flick.
Sure.
And even though this is like a women in cages flick, it is.
I wish there had been a little bit more payoff with the relationships that she had made.
Well,
I mean, not a lot of people were still alive, but in this one either.
True.
But
this was more of a drama, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
I think that's the thing about women in cages. Like, there's sort of exploitation, but they are still at their core like a true drama,
a person-to-person relationship sort of thing.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. What other movies come to mind?
Like, the women in prison movies?
Women in prison movies.
Well, I'm going to shill for Shout Factory, which is a Blu-ray company. Sure. They have this Roger Corman triple feature that's The Big Dollhouse, Women in Cages, and The Big Birdcage.
Okay.
But you also have, like, Caged Heat.
Caged Fury.
Yeah, Caged Fury, Concrete Jungle, Chained Heat, which is a Paul Nicholas.
Boy, they weren't really reaching
They're all
too
kind
far
of the
in the
thing.
barrel.
I think another big one is the Ilsa series.
Okay.
Which is like Ilsa the Wicked Woman, which are women in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
And they all sort of follow that weird, like, it's actually kind of a drama, but it's also like a lot of boobs, a lot of rape, a lot of blood, a lot of murder.
Yikes.
But I think that's an interesting thing when you think about, like, and maybe that's something we should start figuring out and talking about a lot more as we're going through this, is like the purpose of exploitation films, like blaxploitation or rape-exploitation or this, of like what that actually is hitting at and what it's doing and what it means, because I think a lot of these get written off as like being terrible movies, but they're just made cheaply because there wasn't a lot of money.
Not necessarily the highest rated actors because of the fact that they would be literally exploited. Yeah. Their bodies would be exploited.
But at the flip side, though, they're doing some really important... Like, some of the earliest super proto, like, feminist films are things like, weirdly, I Spit on Your Grave, which is a movie about a woman who was raped by 5 men. And this movie's almost unwatchable. It is so tough to watch because the first 35 minutes is this elongated scene where she is being attacked. Yeah. But then the rest of the hour of the movie is her seeking revenge. Okay. And just going and getting it in the most delicious of ways. In a weird, it might be a weird way of saying it.
There's a new movie called Revenge.
Yes.
Where I have no opinion on it. I haven't seen it yet, but kind of along the same lines.
I just picked it up on Vudu. I haven't watched it yet,
but
very
cool. Yeah.
I went ahead and got that. But they're all kind of hitting at something bigger. And I think that's the thing that's really interesting about this movie, too, is, like, I think it is hitting at something bigger. Like, it would be easy to think you could make fun of this, but underneath, there's something bubbling.
And I would also say that there is something valuable in a majority female cast.
Yeah.
Like, you do not see ratios like this. Like, what is there? The Randy, Smiley, the dad.
And Willie. So 4 men.
I keep forgetting about Willie. He's so inconsequential.
He's so inconsequential. Well, and the dad, I think, maybe has 2 lines. So
right, yeah. So
there's like 4 men in the movie, maybe 5.
Versus like 15 fairly strong women characters.
Yeah.
You know,
and
it's interesting.
And other than like, and I don't want to like minimize, like, other than them getting hurt, like.
Yeah. But they take the strength.
But they take the strength.
A lot of them, a lot of the conflict is women and violence, unfortunately, is women against women. There are only a couple of instances, but necessary for the plot, of men on women violence.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's a lot of women's strength, not necessarily empowerment. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, oh, this is amazing for women. This is awesome. But if we could see something better written or more thoughtfully written, I think that this type of movie would actually be an amazing opportunity for a large group of like Ocean's 8 or something to that effect.
You hit at something that's actually really important that I hadn't thought about until you just said it, of the idea that, because the only male who's perpetrating violence against women is Smiley, but it's never, what's really fascinating about it is, like, I mean, for him it's a sexual act, right, for the most part, but for everyone else it's an act of revenge and it's an act of power. Yes. And when you think of like rape in general, like, rape is an act of power, right? It's not a sexual act. No, you're trying to gain power, and it's fascinating that, like, it's not glorified, it's not sensual, it's uncomfortable every time it happens, and it does match that idea of, like, it is completely an act of dominance. Of dominance. Yeah. And trying to create dominance or trying to create fear into somebody else. Exactly. And I guess in that sense, like, it's actually well handled.
I suppose.
Maybe? I don't know.
If that can
I feel like we're on dangerous ground.
We are. So let's say boo rape.
Yes, well, obviously. Of course.
And this was a movie.
Yeah.
The end. That's our opinion. Actually, I mean, we didn't even talk about it, but Orange is the New Black. is sort of
It's
taking
a women in
this-
prison TV show.
Absolutely it is. Probably taking a lot of the issues and dealing with them more sensitively, and I don't know. I've seen the first season.
I have not seen any of Orange is the New Black.
And
so...
there is a creepy smiley type character.
Oh, interesting.
In it. Almost played for laughs. His name is Pornstache. Or his nickname is Pornstache, so...
And that's exactly what Smiley kind of is.
Exactly, yeah. So, I don't know.
I wonder if that's
Go watch that. Compare it.
I wonder if that's a thing that... I feel like I want to watch it now, too, just out of curiosity of, like, maybe there's a podcast in the future of, like, we're going to talk about Orange is the New Black as it relates to the naked cage!
Oh, my. That would be... We could do it.
I think I am disappointed that I thought this was going to be 2 hours of Nick Cage with no clothes on. But it just didn't happen.
Sorry, buddy.
The beige! That's what
we can make a supercut of all of
that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But I wonder. Like, I mean, I think that goes back to like that idea of like the importance of exploitation is like exploitation films could talk about things that mainstream films could not talk about.
Sure.
In a way that was direct
and less hindered.
Yes. And I wonder if that's part of like
the advantage of it.
The advantage and the importance of that.
Yeah.
And even though you have to be sort of larger than life to do it, I'm sure like the idea of rape in women's prisons and rape in men's prisons is like a thing that needs to be contended with.
It's an issue, and I don't know if this was necessarily the strongest advocate for anti-that.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's not going to change a lot of people's minds, but at least puts it in the conversation.
Yes.
So just to kind of like reiterate a couple of... Well, first of all, we should say that what's interesting is this movie made $1.2 million in limited release in its first weekend. So it did really well for $86.
And for that genre.
Yeah. And it ended up... But what's so fascinating is like in its entire theatrical run, it only made $3.1 million. So like it made a third of its money in weekend one in limited release.
Jesus. Good for them trying.
Right.
I mean, I would say they made their money back.
I'm
sure
guessing they did. We couldn't find anything about the budget.
No.
Would you recommend this movie to people?
If they are into that... I don't know if I'd be like, hey, skip Avengers, go watch this.
Go watch The Naked Cage.
But I would say if you want to see an interesting movie about sort of the time, just having the attitude of the time. Yeah, I've not seen any of the other movies that we listed, like Cage Fury, whatever. But this was fine. This was surprisingly fine. No, I honestly, I thought it was going to be schlock.
Yeah.
It was not. It was a decently written, decently acted movie.
Interesting.
What about you?
Well, so first of all, I think this is a fundamental difference between you and I think people are, if they've lasted this long, are figuring out of like, I love schlock and I love exploitation films. Like this is like right down the middle of the things that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to get you over to the dark side with me.
No, listen, I am saying I didn't hate it.
I know you didn't.
I'm saying that it was...
But I don't think you get the joy that I get.
Fair enough.
I think that's part of it.
No, honestly, it was a fun ride.
Yeah,
it was a fine ride.
And in that case, so I would, with the caveat of, I also love things like Showgirls and Slithis.
Sure. Will you survive the nightmare that is Slithis?
And all these ridiculous movies that.
Yeah.
This was great. Like this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I felt like we did learn quite a bit in that.
We
did. The way things are set up and paid off.
Yeah.
How characters lie to each other and hide truth.
You can start the movie's driving force. Immediately. You can up the stakes immediately.
You can just go for it.
Yeah.
I also think too the other big thing is the way the deaths are treated.
Oh yes.
And how they're pretty just like boom, done, dead.
Yeah.
And they're neither glorified nor are they hidden.
Yeah.
And that makes it tough.
The unflinchingness.
Way.
Yeah.
But it also makes Rita's death a little bit silly at the end. But, like, Amy's death is, like, horrifying.
Well, just don't have people get electrocuted face on.
Yeah.
Like, imply that shit.
Yeah,
if you can't make it look good.
Yeah.
You can't tell what that glass is doing inside of Amy's mouth. But...
we could see the electricity.
I mean, come on.
That's perfect for a podcast. Yeah.
I think the at least the audio made
Will
it
work. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pathetic enough.
That is definitely the intro and outro of every single episode of Creating Canon from this point forward.
I love it.
Is you doing that.
I'm on it. But in the meantime, what are we doing next week, Nick?
Our second episode of Cannon Fodder, technically third episode of Cannon Fodder, we're going to be doing is the 1974 version of Death Wish.
That's right, starring Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson is an architect in this movie.
That's exciting.
He goes out, becomes a vigilante killer.
Oh, wow. That turned dark.
Yeah.
All right. We'll hear more about that next week.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
On that note,
you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, all at Creating Canon. That's creating, though spelled the regular way, and then canon, spelled like a cannon, not the camera.
I think
Cannon.
Yes, I think you made
know.
that incredibly confusing.
It was way too complicated, but I
Yeah.
always try to. Just so you can't follow us. It's also in the liner notes. Just look for that and subscribe and follow us. And
you can follow me at Nicholas C. Pappas on the tweets.
That's right. And at the tweets and the Instagram, you can follow me at the AJ Hamilton. And I guess the last thing to say is no. Good night and good canon.
You're so dumb. We need the timer, but for
What's the vote for?
For the boobing city.
Hey, hey.
Hey.
All right. Let's do this, motherfucker.
Are you talking to me?
You ready? Well,
Are you talking to me?
I don't see anybody else here.
Are you talking to me? Okay,
So-
let's do it.
Nice dress.
Thanks. I bought it at Versace.